In my last couple of videos, I put hinges on the top of this ladder. It was hinged to the floor. Now I have it hinged to the ladder. It was hinged at the top of the ladder, so I can move it out of the way of this cabinet because I need food storage basically in my galley. I don't have a lot of food storage in here. Actually, I don't have any food storage in the galley, so just pots and pans and dishes is what I have for storage in the galley. So I need a place to put food that I can get to. Now I got a lot of storage on this boat where I can store a lot of food in a lot of different places, but right here in the galley when you're cooking, you know, it's nice to have the food close by. I do have refrigeration here in the galley that I do have food in, but as far as dry goods, I don't have a good place. So at any rate, so I'm gonna now open this up and bring the ladder up and attach it to the ceiling with the brass hook that I installed last video. Okay, and now I can get into this cabinet for storage, and it goes back in there pretty far, and it's pretty deep, so there's a lot of storage room in here. I can put quite a lot of food, but what I do have in here is my old battery charger. This battery charger was installed in this boat. I don't know who installed it. I'm the third owner, but any rate, it's that blue thing there on the bulkhead, and it's supposed to have a housing, a case around it, and it doesn't. It looks like the bottom of the case is hanging down. It's hinged. I don't know why, but at any rate, yeah, that was a bad accident waiting to happen. I used to use this charger on the batteries that were originally in this boat. They were big, huge lead acid batteries that were used for both. They were combination batteries, house batteries and starter batteries, and that's not the best thing to have, big lead acid batteries like that are for house and starter all in one unit. So I had two of those huge batteries. I had to hoist them out of here. It was a nightmare. I didn't make a video of that. I wished I had, because I did it by myself, and those things are so heavy. I used my mizzen mast and the halyard basically for lifting the sail on the mizzen sail up. So it was really scary. If anything broke, it would have been a total disaster. Those batteries, I mean, I think they weighed almost 200 pounds apiece. Probably not that much, but pretty close. So at any rate, now I'm going to go ahead and remove this battery charger and get it out of there. I don't use it anymore. I installed a better one, a lot better one for my, I have a lead acid starter battery, and so I installed a charger for that battery, a very good quality charger, and I do have a video on that. So at any rate, so I'm going to go ahead and remove this charger. It's totally disconnected. There's no power to it, so I won't get shocked. It looks kind of scary, but it's totally safe. And so at any rate, I'm going to go ahead and remove it and get it out of there. Oh, ouch. Got to remember the ladder's over my head. I don't want to knock myself out. Okay. Okay, so looks like there's just 4 screws, and I think they're all flathead screws, so I'm just going to have to climb in here and see if I can get these out of here. So I'll take the 2 bottom ones out first, and I hope they're not through bolted, because if they are, I'm going to have a problem, and I think they're through bolted. Yeah, they're through bolted. In a minute, it's going, I think. Let's see if I can get these to back out. Yeah, it's through bolted. This is going to be a problem. So, yeah, they're just spinning. They're not coming loose. Okay, so at any rate, out there's the hatch that I have to open up and see if I can get to the 4 nuts that are on these 4 bolts. I don't know if I'm going to be able to get to them easily. So let's take a look and see what I got. So they're double nutted on the other side, and so when I tried to turn them, I could turn them by hand, but the whole screw was turning. So it's going to be really hard for one person. It's almost going to take two people to do this, but I got ways of doing things. So by myself, I do a lot of stuff by myself. So I'll have to figure it out and get back with this later. Okay, so I decided I'm going to go ahead and use my Dremel tool here. It's got a grinder bit. Since it's a two-person job to take these screws out, it's going to take one person with a screwdriver on this side, and they're through bolted, 4 of them, and then on the other side of that bulkhead is a locker in the cockpit under the floorboards of the cockpit. And I got some sails stored in there, and I don't want to have to pull all those sails out to get down in there. And it's going to be difficult to try to take a wrench and loosen the nuts. They're double nutted on each screw and on each bolt, and yeah, it's I could probably figure out some way to hold this side while I can loosen the nuts with a wrench on the other side, but I can't reach both at the same time, both sides. So I decided I'm just going to go ahead and use my Dremel tool, and I'm just going to grind the head off of each one of these bolts. And so they're like a flat screwdriver head on them, and so I'm going to try this round grinding bit first, and then I got a carbide cutting bit if this doesn't work out too well. We'll see how this goes. And I think I'm going to hook up my vacuum cleaner to catch any dust. So, at any rate, let's see what happens here. Actually, I'm going to switch. I don't think I'm going to use this this bit here. It's a flat grinding wheel. I'm going to go with my carbide cutter. I think that's going to be easier. So this is my carbide cutter. So it's paper thin, and this one's for metal, I think. It looks like yeah, it's metal. And so I'm going to use this to cut those off. It doesn't matter if I damage anything in here as far as the battery charger goes, because it's garbage. I'm just going to trash it. It's worthless. So, okay. Remember to always use eye protection whenever using power tools, especially when you're grinding like metal and stuff. So let's see what happens here. Turn my vacuum on. Okay, I got one of them off, no problem. Took a little bit, but that was the easy one to get to. The rest of them are going to be harder. That one up on the top, I don't know. That's going to be a challenge, but these other ones I should be able to get to. So there's always one turkey in every crowd, and there's top one on the left side is way up at the top, and I don't know if I'm going to be able to get in there with this tool. But anyway, okay, so I'm going to continue on and get the rest of these done. I'm going to try this side over here. All of these wires are disconnected, so there's no power in anything here. So it's safe. I really ground that carbide bit down. Looks like 2 down and 2 to go. So let's see if this is loose. Yeah, it ain't wanting to pull this. I may have to get my crowbar, but they're definitely cut off, so I don't know why they're stuck on there. So yeah, this bit's totally toast, and it broke. And it's another reason why you want to wear eye protection. So I have to let this cool off. It's pretty hot. It was it took quite an effort to cut through those, and they're brass bolts. So brass is usually pretty easy. But yeah, these Dremel tools are awesome. Once you get one, you just don't realize how you got through life without ever having one of these things. I have 2 of them. I have a battery powered one too, but the battery's gotten old on it, and so it monitors the heat level of the battery, and it'll run for a minute or 2 and then it shuts off, and I can order another battery. But I got this cord powered one, which actually I kind of like better, because I don't have to deal with recharging it, and batteries, the fewer rechargeable batteries as far as I'm concerned, the better. And on a boat, if you have a like a lithium battery bank like I have for house batteries, and an inverter, so you can run 110 power off your batteries. I prefer buying tools that have cords instead of cordless, because the lithium ion batteries, can be fire hazards. So I really like the cord ones. They're more reliable. But the cordless one is bizarre. It has a lot higher RPM than this one that runs on AC power, which was surprising. And then of course, being cordless, you can take it anywhere. And but at any rate, this sucker's pretty hot. It's almost too hot to hold on to right now. So I'm just gonna let it cool another minute or 2 before I start cutting into that next bolt. So I got 2 bolts done. I got 2 more to go, and I can get this piece of junk out of here. It'll be so nice to get this out of here. One thing, whenever you're using power grinders and the metal gets red hot and you're cutting something, you have to be careful, because the piece of metal might fall off and it's red hot and start a fire. And so when you're doing this kind of stuff, I would plan on staying with the boat long after you're done, just to make sure. You wouldn't want to do something like this and then just leave the boat and go somewhere, because you got a piece of red hot metal sitting somewhere, and it might take a few minutes before it starts to catch something on fire. And so if you leave the boat, it may catch on fire when you're gone. So kind of awkward, but here we go. And this sucker's almost getting too hot to hold on to. So I can crawl up in here more. If I can just sit here, make it a little easier. I can't see. Let's go like this. I don't like that either. I can damn near crawl down in there. That might be the best bet. I wonder if I can get in here. I don't know. Let's give an idea how big this cabinet is. See if I can crawl down in here. Well, I can kind of fit in here. The mast is in my way. The mizzen mast is right behind me here against my back. I think this is going to work. Just don't get my hair caught in this Dremel tool. That's another thing you got to watch out for these things. You don't want your hair caught in one of these things. I kind of ground the top down, but I didn't get it all the way cut off. I think I'm going to crawl out of here because I don't want to get any metal in my eyes. I built a wood stove for this boat, and I worked on a research farm, and so we had welding equipment, and I built this really cool wood stove, and I spent a lot of work on it. I made it all from scratch. It works great. I got it in here now. And I was one night, real late at night, it was around 12 at night, I was welding it, and I like to I would weld on it, and then I take the grinder and grind the weld down. So it's a round cylinder type of a wood stove. So it's a round cylinder shape. And then I welded a 1/4 inch thick steel plate for the top and for the bottom. And so after I weld for a while, I weld a little bit, and the weld is red hot. Then I get the grinder and get right on there with the angle grinder. So it's got a big carbide wheel about this big, and a few thousand RPM spinning. And I like to grind the hot welds because they're hot still, and they're red hot, and they grind real easy. So I was almost done. It was like the last of the welding on this project, on this wood stove. And it was late at night, and I was in a hurry. And so I welded it, took the welding hood off, grabbed the angle grinder, didn't have no eye protection on, started grinding, piece of metal hit me in the eye. And I'm way out in the middle of nowhere in this research farm, way out in the country. And every time I blinked, it hurt really bad. And so I went into the office and got a mirror, and I looked, and I could see the metal, and it was pretty big. It was like 1/8 of an inch long, and it was like a needle, piece of iron. And when it went into my eye, it was red hot. And it was right on the white part, right next to the iris, the color part, the brown part. And if it had hit my pupil, I would be permanently blind in this eye right now. And matter of fact, my eye would probably turn white, and I'd probably have to wear a patch or dark glasses to cover it, And I'm thinking, what am I going to do? I didn't have medical insurance at the time, and so we had because it was research and development, my boss was pre-med, even though it was horticulture. We don't do anything with animals. It was all plants. But he did have a dissecting kit that he'd had from medical days. And so they had all kinds of tweezers and forceps and hemostats. And I got these forceps that were flat on the end. And I took the mirror and I took the forceps up really slow. And the interesting thing was the metal was sticking out of my eye, and it was right where my eyelids, top and bottom eyelids, would come together when it blinked, luckily. Because if it was higher or lower, when one of my eyelids came down, it would really hurt. But it was right where it blinked, so it was like this when I blink. And of course, you're going to be blinking when you get something in your eye. You can't help it. So on the first try, I went up with the forceps, grabbed on it, pulled it right out. There was a hole in the white part of my eye, and I'd say that piece of metal was probably between 1/8 and 1/2 inch in length, and a 1/4 inch, I'd say 1/4 inch. It's probably about a 1/4 inch long. I'd say about 1/8 of it at least or more went into my eye. So I pulled it out. I looked at my eye. There was a hole in the white part of my eye, and it was red. Just a little red circle around this hole, and you can see it was a hole. And the interesting thing is that your eyes heal, they heal really quick, because the next day it was totally gone. I couldn't even see it, and I was fine. So I was really lucky. So, and don't mess around. Always wear eye protection when you're using power tools. Even if you're using a drill, it's probably a good idea. And be careful when you got metal filings, rubbing your hands in your eyes. So I'm going to climb out of here, because I'm kind of close to this, and the metal's hitting me in the face. So I'm just going to climb out. So that gives you an idea how big this cabinet is. So, you know, I can store quite a lot of food in here. My legs are getting cramped here. If I can just get out of here. Ouch. Forgot about the ladder over my head. Bang my head on it. Okay, one more. I got just a little ways to go here. This drill tool is really hot. Okay. Matter of fact, let me just get my flashlight. I think it's in here. I hope it's down in here. I'm going to use my flashlight in here so I can see a little better. How's that? Yeah, it's better. Let's see. This is a really cool flashlight. It's got a stand. It's got a magnet. You can stick it on stuff. Oops. Like that. It's got a hook for the top. Pulls up. And it's got a spotlight on the end. So you can use it like this. I think it does SOS and a few other things. I don't know. At any rate, let's see if I can hook this onto something. Right here, maybe. That's good enough, so I can see a little better. Okay. That should do it. There it goes. Okay, we're going to get this off now. Another thing you need to be careful with these is that, I don't know if you can see the sparks flying, but those are little fragments of metal. And you got to be aware that they can bounce off of stuff and hit you in the eye still, even when you got eye protection on. It's best to have either goggles or kind of wraparound protection. I'm just using reading glasses right now, which ain't the best. But I try to keep an eye on which way the fragments are moving and face straight into them. Don't go at an angle, because they can come in on the side of your face. Another time at the research farm, I was grinding with a bench grinder, and I had this was after I got that metal in my eye. This is another time, so I was real careful. I had goggles that were completely sealed, plus a plastic face shield over my entire face, and I was grinding with this bench grinder, and I see this red thing just jump off the grinder, red hot, and it went right across my face real close, and it was like it went inside of the face shield, and it got lodged inside the face shield up on the top, and melted a hole in the face shield right above my eyes. And luckily I had my goggles on too. So yeah, you know, all it takes is a split second and you can lose your eyesight. So I've also damaged my hearing, and I'm not sure how that happened. It was strange. But I have lost hearing in my left ear, some hearing, high frequencies. So, and you know, I study recording engineering, and I'm also majored in music in college. And nothing sadder than damaging your hearing when you're into music. I'm going to get a wood screw and put it through this hole and screw it in to hold this up. That way when I do cut it off, it won't fall. But I think I can get to it if I do that. Yeah, it might work. I don't know. Let's see. Yeah, I think I can make this work. That's enough to hold it out of the way. That might give me enough room. I can get in here with a tool. I'm going to have to cut in an upward direction, and it's not going to be easy. Okay, I cut through it. The head's been cut off of it, but I don't know how easy it's going to be to yank this off. Yeah, I'm going to go ahead and try to pry this loose. Oh, we're going to get it. We're going to get it. There it goes. All right. No problems. Just perfect. Okay, got it. I'm so glad to get this out of here. At any rate, here it is. That's the charger. And you can see it's got a big transformer here. It's real heavy. And it's got some capacitors here and some voltage regulators on there. These are heat sinks. And it's got these terminals here where you connect the wires to. This little door, I guess, that's so you can get to the wiring. This thing was supposed to have a cover, a metal case around it, and it never did. And so, yeah, it was an accident waiting to happen. All you need to do is go reaching around inside this cabinet here and this battery charger on, and it could be the end of your life. So, you know, you don't want to wake up dead. So I got it out of here, and plus it's a fire hazard. You know, no case on there. Anything gets in there, these things get hot. So yeah, it's an old piece of junk, and I'm really glad to get it out of here. So now it's out. Now I got room. I can start putting shelves in this cabinet here, so I can start storing dry goods. Mainly, I think I'm going to just store dry goods, food in here. And you can see how big it was because I can crawl in there. So that's quite a bit of storage. It goes down pretty deep. And so the next thing I got to do is just figure out how I'm going to do the shelves, and so I can get to as much stuff and put as much stuff in there as I can possibly get in there. And so that's all for this video. And if you enjoyed it, please like and subscribe.